239, okay. Welcome back, everybody. First order of business is we have to undo a boo-boo that your chairman made last week. We're going to have to add some more amendments to the ADU bill, so I'm going to make a motion to reconsider the vote by which House Bill 239, correct? 239 was considered. Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. So that bill is not going to be reported to the floor, and we're going to have to put some amendments onto it. All right, let's begin with House Bill 423, and I believe, Marvin, that's yours.
Hallelujah. Thank you, Mr. Chair. House Bill 423, ladies and gentlemen, is a task force bill, and the bill has been significantly amended since the last time you probably saw it. In the short summary of it is, the bill establishes a task force on common ownership communities staffed by the Office of Attorney General to study numerous issues related to operation of common ownership communities. Amendments, we significantly reduced the number of membership. In the old bill, it was roughly 35 members. Now it's down to 19. And and we also revised and took out a lot of the study requirements from the task force bill. Move the amendments, Mr. Chair.
And there's a second. On the amendments, Delegate Terraza.
Yeah, so I noticed that on the last 2 pages, there's a lot of details being taken out.
Yes.
Is that because they're not allowed to look at those, or is that because you just want to be broader in the assignment?
I took those out because I wanted to narrow the focus of the task force and be specific in some of the study items. For example, part of what was originally in there talked about studying reserve studies. I think we have taken care of reserve studies quite sufficiently. The other thing that was in the original bill was relevant to Bill of Rights, and there was something else in there relevant to the Uniform Act. I took that out as well, because I wanted to make sure we had a task force that was going to be studying things that we needed to take care of right away. And the things that the things that are still left on the task force are things that we can study right away and get results for right away, so I don't have to come back before you guys ever again with another common ownership community bill.
So one of the things, though, that was taken out, which I was hoping it was just because you were broadening the scope and didn't want to be specific, was issues facing aging common ownership communities, which I think is a huge issue. Is there another way to address those?
Yeah, there is. A lot of times in the aging of common ownership communities, there are ways, particularly in the reserve study legislation that we have passed previously, that kind of addresses it. There's also issues where in addressing older common ownership communities, if you recall, I had another bill in that was talking about trying to give some financial assistance to aging common ownership communities. I think there are other ways to address that.
Like in other legislation?
Yeah, other ways to address that, and I didn't want to put it in here because there are other concentrated ways to take care of it. I didn't want to spend the time with this task force to dig down deep into that because there are, like I said, other ways to deal with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, on the amendments, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. The bill is before. And there's a second. Any discussion on the bill is amended? Hearing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? And of course, we have a couple of people who are missing. We've got one delegate who has a medical appointments, that's excused. Another delegate who got the flu bug, Naraki, he's excused. Charles, I haven't heard anything from, so he's just absent. And Mary Lehman is also just absent. Yeah, she's running a little late.
So absent for Atlanta?
Yeah. Okay, House Bill 830. I'm gonna let Matt explain this bill.
Okay. So House Bill 830 is residential construction or significant renovation, electric vehicle charging. The recommendation is favorable with amendment. So the amendments are the bill. Amendment number 1 is technical. Amendment number 2 adds definitions to the bill and alters existing definitions in the bill as drafted. Amendment number 3 requires the construction of certain new housing units with dedicated parking facilities for each residential unit to be built with either an EV-capable, EV-ready, or EVSE installed parking space. EVSE would be electric vehicle supply equipment. And amendment number 4 would require for housing units and multifamily residential buildings constructed without dedicated garages, carports, or driveways, but which do provide on-site parking, at least one common-use EVSE installed parking space, and a certain percentage of the total spaces to be EV-capable, which may be assigned to residential units or made available for common use.
Is there a second on the, we moved the amendments, is there a second on the amendments? Okay, before I entertain questions and debate on this, I just want to say that with these amendments, what's happened is that the NAOP and the Building Industry Association support the bill as amended in this way. The electric car manufacturers, I think, I don't know that they're against the bill, but they're neutral. They wanted a stronger, more proscriptive, a bigger mandate. But, you know, my attitude personally is that forward motion is better than pursuing. I've never believed in allowing the perfect to be the enemy of the good. And so we have gotten, to my way of thinking, the most important business sector in support of this bill as a result of this. So, Delegate Foley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question about the amendments. Were there any amendments with respect to the single-family home requirements?
Hold on.
Yes, so the single-family home requirement, that would add the EV-capable spaces as an option. In addition to what was in the original bill would be the spaces where the infrastructure is either installed completely from circuit panel to charging equipment, or the EV ready, which would go all the way up to the outlet that an EV charger could be plugged into. So the EV, it adds another option of EV capable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and what about on the renovation side? Were there any changes with respect to that?
The definition of renovation change was specified a little bit. I have a copy of it here, and I will just read it off because I find that to be the easiest way to do it. Just beg your indulgence for 1 second. So, significant renovation would be, it means a level 3 alteration as defined in the International Existing Buildings Code that includes electric panel upgrades that increase the capacity of the panel. And I would just note that the state of Maryland already abides by the International Existing Buildings Code.
Okay, thank you.
So,
Delegate Jacobs.
Thank you. So, Madam, I'm just trying to understand this in relation to single-family home. So, if you build a new single-family home, this would be, the entire electrical to the plug would be required, is that true?
no, there's an EV capable option, which would largely be panel upgrades, panel capacity.
So if it's a new home, the panel would have to have enough capacity to have it,
Yes.
but it wouldn't be required to actually have the whole wiring and the plug-in.
That would be an option, one of the options for compliance.
And that would be true with either a panel upgrade or the building of the new structure?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
Would that be true in a panel upgrade and new construction of a single-family home?
New construction, yes. a panel upgrade alone would be insufficient. You'd have to be a significant renovation.
I mean, if it's well, if you're upgrading your panel only,
Panel only, probably not, because significant renovation would affect at least 50% of the buildable area, the work area in the building.
but if it's a single-family new home, the panel would have to have the capacity, but not the wiring and the plug.
Correct. At a minimum. Of course, they could always be offered with the.
So that would still fall into what we have in place now, which is the option, where you have to be given the option of that being sort of like buying a car. You want an air conditioner, that's an option.
Well, a builder wouldn't have the option of going lower than the minimum, which is building in support in the panel at least for the appropriate circuit. But then I suppose they could offer an option to.
But right
build it out
now, in
further.
current law, we have the option, correct?
Yes, yes.
You know, let me say this, and I don't mean to cut you off, you still have the floor. You know, what we're trying to do, what I believe I'm trying to do in this bill, is to make sure that the underlying electrical infrastructure exists in the property, so that right now, the option is if you have a very, very old house and it's not able to support a washer dryer and an electric charging capability, to that person, the option would be probably be very expensive to upgrade to the point of accommodating an electric vehicle. I think that it is good public policy to require new home construction to include the electric capability that would allow for a washer dryer and an electric vehicle and all the other appliances. And I think that's not very much of a mandate, because I think new buildings pretty much are complying with that. I just want to nail it down into law. That's just my
I understand,
perspective.
and that's a good explanation. I just want to make certain that in new construction, single family, you don't have to run the whole system to the plug. You only have to have the electric panel with the capacity to do it. So you'd have to have at least a 40 amp above whatever else you need.
Just for the benefit of the full committee, I can read what EV-capable parking space means. It's has the electric panel capacity and conduit installed to support, so there is the conduit piece installed to support the future installation of a minimum 40 ampere 208, 240 volt circuit, and is not included in load calculations or electric reserve capacity.
So is that a plastic conduit or something that you could run a wire through? Is that what it says?
It doesn't specify.
Conduit, whatever the state of the art at the moment would be. Okay, next question goes to Ziegler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Do we have any idea what the % increase in the cost of building this would add?
I don't think that any testimony had been received about the % increase in cost. However, if what is being offered is I don't think I can speculate as to what the % increase cost would be. But at a minimum, it would require circuit panel improvements and the conduit. So that's the baseline that is required, and then you could go up all the way to full circuit, raceway, outlet, and the actual EV recharging equipment. So the things you would physically connect to your vehicle.
So maybe for a single-family home, it would be on the order of a couple $1,000s? I'm
I don't
thinking
think
about
I
the
have
electrician and
I don't think I have the ability
a way
to
to do
speak to
that.
that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Maybe we have an answer here. Delegate Terrazza.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Last year, the testimony was that, or the year before, I guess it was, that, it might have been both. The testimony was it was approximately $400. That was from the electricians.
And, let me say that if the underlying infrastructure is in the property to begin with, the decision to make your carport or garage EV ready is a lot lower, obviously. Whereas my late parents, Cape Cod and Bethesda, that would have been a really expensive retrofit because it was built in the, that house is built in the 1939 or something like that. Any further questions about the amendments? Okay, so let's vote on the amendments. All those in favor signify by saying, oh, I'm sorry, Delegate Healy, you did have, go ahead.
I've been on again and off again trying to think about this,
Yeah, sure.
because I actually live in a 1920 Craftsman bungalow, and when we bought it in 1979, we had to redo the electricity then, and then we added an addition to it, and we had to upgrade again. So, but I don't know if we could do this.
Well, this law doesn't really apply to you, does it, Matt?
That's what I want to understand,
Yeah.
how it affects people in these older communities.
So this would apply to a housing unit such as the one you suggested, a single-family home, if you were to perform a significant renovation. And that would be, there'd actually be two conditions. First, it'd have to be a significant renovation under the International Existing Buildings Code, which would affect, the work area would affect 50% or more of the building area. And you would have to be making changes to the electric panel.
Yeah.
So
but I
it's the
mean-
two conditions.
So like if you're putting an addition on, for example, would that be, if you're adding more square foot to your house?
I'm not
And
sure.
then
if-
you have all the,
Well, I think the answer is that if as a result of your renovation, you're adding to the electric panel, then this would apply. If as a result of your renovation, you were not, then it wouldn't.
and so, and the cost would be not, it'd be more than $400 is what you're saying.
I mean, for an extremely old house, probably, you know, here's the thing, if you were engaging in a renovation of your home, which was a major renovation, 50%, you know, by
Yeah.
the
I just-
standards,
I
it
just-
probably would be substantially expensive to begin with, I would
Yeah.
think.
I mean, I'm just going into this with eyes wide open. I think going forward, it's an excellent and important policy for new construction. But just thinking about when we did the renovation, the biggest major renovation, we decided that we were going to stay in our house and not move to a larger home. My husband and my cousin did most of the work themselves, and, you know, it was like really very, we didn't have the money to do that kind of stuff at that point in our lives. So I'm just curious as to if there's options for people who, because we're getting to the point where people are going to need to have these, because you're not going to be able to buy cars that are not required to use this kind of equipment. So I'm just thinking, I'm just trying to get my head around all of it. And I'm going to vote for the bill, but I do think that that's a concern, and maybe we should think in the future about financing options for people who are in those unusual situations, because most people are not in these really old homes.
Yeah, go ahead.
So Delegate Healy, just to that point, I think the bill probably addresses that in terms of what would be required for a significant renovation. It would, at a minimum, you would just need to do the EV capable, which would be your conduit and the panel installation. It wouldn't be the whole build out, or it could be, but it's one of the.
The requirement, though.
The requirement is at the base level of that EV capable space.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Delegate Terrazza.
Yeah, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I do appreciate the concerns about adding significantly to the cost. But just keep in mind that this is, as Matt was saying, a significant, like 50% more house you're building essentially, or 50% renovation of the existing house. But this is really like as if you were going to put another dryer. Like if you decided to add a second washer dryer when you were doing a renovation, for example, it's the same outlet. So I just want you to keep that in mind, that it's a very, it's a minimal piece of it to upgrade the panel and do the conduit.
Okay, on the amendments, all those in favor of the amendments signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have it. The ayes have it. Bills before us as amended. Is there a second? Second. Okay. Any discussion on the bill as amended? Okay, let me, I see a representative from the builders are here. Want to thank you for working collaboratively with us. Roll call.
Vice Chair Stein?
Yes.
Holmes? Love? Yes. Jacobs?
It's a no.
Otto?
Yeah. Jacobs is a no, right.
Jacobs is absent. Otto's absent. Teresa?
No, Jacobs is a no. You voted no, correct? I did. Okay, there we go. All right.
Silverton? Teresa? Yes. Ruth? Yes. Long is excused. Allen? Yes. Naraki excused. Morgan? No. Addison? Yes. Baker? No. Ziegler? Yes. Foley? Yes. Guyton? Yes. Davis? Yes. Lehman? Yes. Stewart? Yes. Boyce? Yes. Healy? Yes.
Chairman votes yes. Okay, so that's 16-4. Bill passes. Yes, delegate, oh, you want a pile-on amendment? Okay. Do we have the pile-on list? You got the pile-on list. Okay, so we're going to add Sheila Ruth, Marvin Holmes, Dana Stein, put me on it, Ann Healy, Boyce, Stewart. Okay.
So, just a run. Delegates Ruth, Holmes, Stein, Barve, Healy, Boyce, and Stewart, right? Okay.
Yep. Okay. House Bill 934. Delegate Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Subcommittee's recommendation is favorable with amendments. As amended, the bill creates an exception to the prohibition against selling a game bird or mammal taken from the wild for an antlerless deer acquired as a result of participation in an existing raffle program held in January. Subcommittee amendments, the amendments are the bill. Move the amendments.
Okay, on the amendments, is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. The ayes seem to have, okay, one no. The bills, the amendment. Yeah, that was right. That was the amendments. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. My apologies. That's okay. That's right. Okay, the bills before us is amended. Is there a second? And there's a second. Any discussion on the bill itself? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Delegate Terraza is opposed. Delegate Foley is opposed. Delegate Lehman is opposed. Anyone else? Okay, the bill carries 17-3. All right, House Bill 1087. There we go.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee's recommendation is favorable with amendments. The bill authorizes DNR to allow a person in Wacomico County to hunt on each Sunday of game, bird, and mammal season on private property and public land designated for Sunday hunting by DNR. The new Sundays authorized for hunting are only available 1/2 hour before sunrise until 10:30 a.m. The bill also decreases the archery hunting safety zone in Wacomico County from 150 yards to 50 yards. Subcommittee amendments are the limits on the new authorized Sunday hunting hours. Move the amendments.
Okay, discussion on the amendments. We'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, no. These are the amendments. It's all right. Okay, the amendments carry. The bill's before us is amended. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any discussion on the bill as amended? Seeing none, we'll proceed to a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Delegate Terraza is opposed. Guyton is opposed. Lehman is opposed. Anybody else? The bill passes 17-3. Okay, announcements. Any subcommittees meeting? Well, I guess I'll tell you what. If you're meeting after the first session, I believe we'll have 2 sessions today, just to announce it on the floor. You know, talk amongst yourselves and arrange these things. We have a couple of more bills that at least one more bill that I'd like to move, and maybe more. So that's it. Unless anybody else has an announcement, we are adjourned until after the floor session. There we go. that was relatively painless.